Alright guys, so today we are going to show off the power of texture generators inside of Adobe Substance Sampler, and we are going to make an abstract pattern basically using two iterations of a square fill. So the first thing we're doing is dropping in a linen as a base material, and we're just going to adjust just a few of the parameters here, including a little bit of the wrap roughness, just to take a little bit of that luster down. And the next thing we're going to do is bring that tension variation down just a hair, and that is going to kind of bring in that weaving just a little bit more. And now that we have that kind of where we want it, let's go ahead and click on the technical parameters, and I'm just going to bring down the height position just a little bit more and combine that with a little bit of a displacement, turn the displacement down a bit as well, just so we don't have any kinds of extra shapes or anything that aren't there to give us the illusion of geometry or anything like that. So let's go ahead and drop in our first texture generator here, and it is under the fourth panel in your assets. And as you can see, we are using the square, and this just gives you a really nice typical grid pattern. And we're going to bring that gradient down. And as you can see, by changing the gradient, it does change the spaces in between the squares. So let's do a bit of the pattern rotation, take it to 0.18. And as you can see, that already gives us something really interesting. That's a pattern that I would definitely use there already. And I'm going to just bring that base color up just a little bit more. And now that we have that kind of somewhere where we like it, let's just go ahead and add a couple more layers in here. And usually we go ahead and we'll do a sharpen, and we'll do maybe a color variant as well. So let's just go ahead and always kind of drop a sharpen layer inside of your stack, and I highly recommend using it after you have done your AI image to material if you are doing that, but we won't be doing that here. So we're just going to add in a sharpen. We're not even going to adjust it. And I'm just going in under the fill again, and I'm just going to change the amounts on the x-axis, and I'm moving that gradient just a bit more. And as you see, we are kind of shrinking the size of the actual squares here is basically what we're doing by adding in a bit more negative space with the black. So what we're going to do now is add in an upscaler because we are in a 2048 space. We're going to go ahead and bring that up to 4K, and that will also give us a bit more, a little bit more detail to work with here. We also don't want to slow the system down too much, but we're not really working with a lot of layers here. So now that we have that what we want, I'm really enjoying this. We could be pretty much good here. I think we're going to go ahead and put in a color variant here to kind of change this up a bit. Let's do color variation, pretty much the best layer that you're ever going to use. And as you can see, just adding it just makes it really interesting. We're going to change that color count up to 3. And usually you don't want to go any more than 5 on your color count, as it just basically just makes it match to whatever shapes there are, whatever hard lines it can see. And we're just going to take that first color down. As you can see, it's usually just a little bit too light. So we're going to bring that second color back up to a nice little kind of neutral gray there. And I think we're going to change the outline shape from this pink just to something a little bit more towards the red. As you can see there, that kind of makes it a lot more interesting and elegant. So I would be very much satisfied with just using this here. It's pretty much, interesting enough, but also simple. And sometimes simple fabrics and patterns can go a long way. But to have a bit more fun, we're going to add another fill layer. First, I'm just going to take the contrast down a bit. That always is a good way to get a little bit more black out of your colors inside of Sampler. And that's pretty good there. And we're going to make this a bit more interesting. We're just going to go ahead and turn this environment rotation a bit here, and we're going to take off the shadows just a bit so you can see this a little bit more evenly. When working with materials, you really don't need to have that shadowing up all the time. It's kind of going to throw you off a bit depending on what kind of details you're working with. And we really want to see that woven pattern inside of there. So let's just go ahead and add on a second iteration of this square fill generator here. And we're just going to kind of adjust this. As you can see, covers it up. So one of the first things we really need to do is we're going to make sure everything's set properly. We want to make sure we have this on the base color, and I may do a little bit of height, but we're just taking that back just to make sure we know what it looks like underneath for a little bit of reference here. And all we're going to do now is we're just going to find all of our active opacity sliders, and we're just going to basically turn them down until we kind of get a nice blend between the two materials, and then we'll move those up a little bit more. So our height is enabled, so we're just going to bring that way down, as the height won't be as important here. It should be good. Take the value down just a bit, just to be safe. And then we need to find our base color, and we need to take that down just a little bit. Usually, let's go ahead and put this into subtract 2 just to be a little bit more interesting. And let's go ahead and there we are. Let's take the opacity down for the base. And usually somewhere around 0.4 is where you start to kind of see those things mesh together. So we're going to take this to about 0.3. That should be good there. And as you can see how interesting that is, we have somewhat of like an abstract argyle starting here. So we're just going to make sure that base color on this one is matching what we have underneath, which is a black on the base there. So I don't want those to clash. And we're just going to kind of change the position offset. And we want to make sure we change the offset mode into horizontal. As you can see how that changes the shapes there. And this is already starting to get neat. I just want to change that position a little bit more, and the shape rotation. And as you can see how interesting that instantly gives us an abstract kind of 3D look. And this pattern would be great for anything. We can always do one of my tricks, which is then take down the tiling quite a bit, or actually would be multiply the tiling here just to make the pattern a lot smaller. And if it looks really good, really small, then you pretty much can use it anywhere. That's kind of the thought there. So let's just go ahead and let's do the tiling a bit. It's maxed at 2, so you just want to click that and we'll just change it to 5, as that'll be pretty small. And as you can see, that looks great. That would look really good on some sort of tie, or you can even use that for a pillow or anything there. So we'll just make that a little bit larger. And the last thing we need to do is let's just go ahead and I always want to check it on the t-shirt model here. And as you can see instantly, that looks really good. Looks like something you would get in GTA. So I like that. And as you can see, that pattern is still really present and apparent when you actually get to zoom in there. So that's pretty much it for this one. Just checking out the power of using texture generators inside of Substance Sampler. And if you're looking to grab some really neat materials like these, make sure to hit that link down below and check out the Fashion and ArchViz Ultimate Collection. And check out all of our other work on all of your favorite 3D marketplaces. And don't forget to hit that like and the subscribe button, and hit that notification bell to stay up to date with more tutorials on all your favorite apps and creative suites. So that's it for this one. And as always, until next time, take care of yourselves and each other.